Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of Max Talks Movies. And today, happy July, everyone. So today, because we are now beginning the month of July here in 2020, we need to look back on the month of June. So today, I will be ranking all 6 new movies that I saw in the month of June. Now, I didn't really get to everything, so let me know in the comment section down below. What are your rankings? What are all the movies that you saw in the month of June? Tell me your rankings and tell me if you agree with my ranking of these films. As I said, I didn't get to see everything. These are all the films that I saw in the month of June. So without going too much into it, before I start, if you like streaming platform reviews, movie reviews, TV show reviews, please be sure to click that subscribe button. Also click that bell to be notified on all the upcoming videos here on Max Talks Movies as well. So, and also hit that like button. That will help the algorithm for this video as well. Let's move on to our ranking. I have 6 movies, and I'm going to kick off here at number 6 with Artemis Fowl. So in general, guys, this is definitely one of the worst movies that I have seen, not just in the month of June, which it is, but one of the worst movies of the year. Disney Plus for me was a platform that I really trusted early on. They've already come out with 5 original movies, and I really thought they were average to great, those films. Really average to solid, nothing special, but still really good movies. So this movie kind of plops on. They were supposed to be in theaters last year, 2019. Then it was pushed to like March of 2020. Then it was pushed to August of 2020. And then it was just put it on Disney Plus in early June. And this movie's a bad movie, okay? It's a really bad movie. In general, our lead here is doing a very weak performance. The movie is an hour and a half, and it's trying to do a lot. Artemis Fowl is trying to be a setup movie for multiple films. It's also trying to be a character build movie for Artemis Fowl, the world of the fairies. It's also a world building movie, and it's also a kidnap retrieval type of film as well. There is a lot going on in this film, and its only runtime is 90 minutes. And it completely suffers because it's a super rushed film. It feels like they shot a 2.5-hour movie, cut off an hour, and had Josh Gad come in here just to read exposition and tell us what is going on. And for me, what this movie completely suffers from is instead of showing us how great these characters are, it keeps going back to Josh Gad just telling us how great these characters are. And that's not what I signed up for. I signed up to see the action in this film. I signed up to see Artemis Fowl kick a lot of butt. But in this movie, we're just told that he's a master manipulator. We're told what the fairy world is. We're told all these things, and I'd hate being told in movie form. I would rather just read the book than watch this movie based on how they did it. And it was disappointing because Kenneth Branagh directed this movie, Colin Farrell, Judi Dench, Josh Gad were all in this film. And it's completely disappointing, and it's easily the worst film in the month of June. So moving into my number 5 position here, and that is The Last Days of American Crime. Now, a lot of people missed this movie, but I did not here for this YouTube channel. It's a Netflix film basically set in a futuristic world where basically our 3 leads here, Edgar Ramirez is our main lead, Michael Pitt as well as in the movie. Basically, there's like a purge-like horn that basically it's like a device that makes everyone stop doing crimes in the United States. But we need to see this, but Edgar Ramirez wants to make a lot of cash, so him and this group try to give one last heist before the siren goes off, and they cannot be able to do any more crime in America. So this film, for me, was once again, a pretty bad movie. I gave this a 1.5 star out of 5. On my review, all my reviews for these movies are currently on my YouTube channel. So if you don't think you get the full thoughts, they're all on my YouTube channel at the moment. The Last Days of American Crime was one of the most boring movies that I have seen so far this year. And this film doesn't need to be boring. But the movie is 2 hours and 35 minutes, which is officially the longest movie that in the month of June that I saw. And it feels like it. But the major issue with the movie that while it's 2.5 hours, there's no character development. And it's amazing the two differences between Artemis Fowl and Last Days, because Artemis Fowl wants to do a lot, but for some reason it feels rushed that they were told to be 90 minutes. This movie feels like it needed to be 2.5 hours just so we can see some meandering. There's a lot of unnecessary scenes, unnecessary sex scenes as well in the movie that just pull me out. The actual plot and the actual world that we're in is actually pretty great. And it really interested me before. I haven't read the book for this film. This is based off of a book, and I haven't heard anything amazing about the book, but I was just interested in seeing the movie because the plot just sounded so clever that there could be this thing that makes everyone not be able to do crime. And a heist could be in it, and that's amazing story right there. But it's executed poorly. You don't care about any characters in the film. They don't give you any background on our three leads. There's a very rushed romance as well that's interwoven throughout the film, and the ending just feels kind of bland. That makes you really understand how much you don't like this movie, is that the ending wants you to really care about character deaths and how these characters move on from this big epic ending. But it's one, not an epic ending, and two, you don't care about any of the characters. And that was a real shame. Last Day of American Crime comes in at number 5. My number 4 movie is Feel the Beat. This movie came out a week ago Friday. So this came out about 2 weeks, a week and a half ago from the time I'm filming this video. Didn't really know this actually popped on to Netflix. I was just rolling through Netflix Friday morning to make sure I didn't miss any new movies. And of course I did, because Feel the Beat is a new movie that came on to Netflix. Basically, it's about our lead here. She wants to be a Broadway star, but she's really struggling trying to become a star in Broadway. So instead, she comes back to her small hometown and she needs to train these kids in this dance tournament so she can be seen by a top Broadway executive who was one of the judges in the tournament. So for me, this movie is the most by the numbers, generic movie that we have gotten so far in the year 2020. It's a movie that I have seen many, many, many times. Now I'll say this film was a lot more charming than I thought it would be. The kids are really good in the movie. Wolfgang Novogratz, who plays the love interest as well in the movie, he's a really good actor in my opinion. He does a good job as well here in the film. But the problem for the film, in my opinion, is obviously it's a very generic movie, but our lead here is way too unlikable in the first 2 acts of the film. I was actually never rooting for our lead character here in Feel the Beat. And then we went to the 3rd act, and it feels charming, but I don't really buy her character by the end of the movie. She was way too negative, way too down on everything. You know, every twist that happens in the movie, so you're not really in love with any of the characters. So I gave it a 2 out of 5. I think the movie is a below average film. It needed to be a lot more original. The film wasn't original whatsoever. It feels like I've seen this movie a billion times. And when you have your lead not be that likable for 2/3 of the movie, how can you really enjoy the 3rd act? And that was my huge problem with Feel the Beat. So that will move us in here to the number 3 slot here in the month of June. And that was Scoob. So obviously, guys, Scoob came out on VOD last month, but it moved to HBO Max this month. So I got to see Scoob. And I reviewed it on this channel on Friday, so you can still check that out. I'll put it next to my head at the end of the video. So Scoob, in my opinion, was the most disappointing movie that I have seen so far in 2020. I was really excited to see this film when it was in theaters. The trailers really hooked me. And I'm a big Scooby-Doo fan, so I was really excited for this film after I really just hated those 2 live-action films. Scoob comes in here and disappoints everything. But I'll say first, the voice cast does a really good job in its very iconic roles. The best part of the movie is that they actually do an origin story to Shaggy and Scooby and really the gang in the first 15 minutes of the film. And I was watching the first 15 minutes and I loved it to death. I really love this film in the first 15 minutes. But the film completely falls apart from that. Once Shaggy and Scooby are scooped up by Blue Falcon, we are completely separated from our Mystery Inc. gang the whole movie. Shaggy and Scooby are going their own journey with Blue Falcon, and Velma, Daphne, and Fred are on their own journey to try to find Shaggy and Scooby, and I hated that instead of becoming a Scooby-Doo film, it wanted to be a Marvel superhero film. It wanted it to be a superhero film with a lot of different plot things going on, a very epic conclusion, and a movie that's also really trying to set up its own universe and more movies down the road. And my main issue with this movie, and Artemis Fowl 2, is that it needs to nail the first film first before you can start thinking about a sequel. And this movie just, once we're done with the origin story, it's like it's a complete setup movie for multiple movies down the road, these characters to have their own movies, and I absolutely couldn't stand this movie. It was a below average movie. I wanted to get it to average because Scooby and Shaggy, their relationship might be the best we've ever gotten in film. But while that is great, they're not with our gang the whole movie. And the fact that we're going on this Blue Falcon journey and we're going on this journey and the villain is not that great, it just knocks down the film for me. So I also gave this a 2 out of 5. My number 2 film, and it's amazing, 5 of the 6 movies are not above average movies that I've seen. It's been a rough month of June. So my number 2 here is a movie that I gave an average review to, and that was Eurovision, The Story of Fire Saga. I was actually super pumped for this film because Will Ferrell, Rachel McAdams, Dan Stevens, Pierce Brosnan, and guess what? The cast works. Rachel McAdams especially works in this film. She gives a really great performance. I love seeing her in these comedies, obviously Game Night, Wedding Crashers. She absolutely kills it in those type of movies. And once again, she kills it here. Her relationship with Will Ferrell, they have great on-screen chemistry, but Dan Stevens does steal the entire show as this Russian person as well in the movie, and a Russian competitor, and he does an amazing job in the film as well. My main issue with the movie is that on the positive side, it's a really entertaining movie. Like, I was never bored. The songs are really catchy. I've been still listening to them since I have seen the film. But it isn't that funny. And I was completely disappointed because I am a huge Will Ferrell fan. I'm always a defender of Will Ferrell. He's been getting a lot of crap as of the past. He hasn't really made a good movie, though, in the past 5 years. So I wanted to see him come through. And while he is good, the movie isn't funny. And this movie could have been actually a really special movie because it has great songs, it's super entertaining, and it has the cast. But instead, the movie just isn't funny. I was not really laughing throughout the movie. And I finished it, I was like, you know what? I like the movie. But then I realized to myself, I wasn't laughing at all. And that made it a huge disappointing movie because if the movie could have made me laugh a couple of times, it would have made it an above average movie to a solid film. But because I wasn't laughing, the movie falls on number 2 because it's super entertaining. I'm never bored, but all the jokes just didn't land for me. It's a lot of penis jokes. It's a lot of jokes about the United States, and it all just falls completely flat for me. And it's a shame that that's where we're going. But my number 1 movie of the month of June and my number 1 movie of the year, and that is Da 5 Bloods, the Netflix movie directed by Spike Lee, and starring Delroy Lindo, Chadwick Boseman, and just the whole group of gang. And I love this movie. It's my favorite movie of the year so far in 2020. And hopefully this movie can survive long enough that Delroy Lindo can be nominated for an Oscar for this performance as Paul here in the lead role. And hopefully this movie can survive Oscar season and hopefully be nominated for Best Picture. Because for me, this was a very powerful movie, a very relevant movie to the times that we are in. And with all the racial injustice that's been going on, racial justice stuff that's been going on, this movie is a necessity, not just for African Americans, but for all races to really understand why we're still fighting for these racial issues. And that's why this movie is completely amazing. The cast is really great, as I said. But Delroy Lindo gives the best performance of the year so far. He's really good in the film as Paul. You really feel why he has that PTSD, why he's going crazy, why he has all this guilt for his former partner, played by Chadwick Boseman, and it's an amazing story. The cast itself, you really feel like these 4 people have known each other for such a long time, and that's why this film works. You feel like you're just watching 4 guys who've known each other for their whole lives getting to meet up again and go through the same stuff they went through 40 years ago. And that's why this movie works, because the cast is so great. The direction from Spike Lee is absolutely fantastic. The score is really powerful as well. And the movie has some great, great messages. The film has the first act, I would say, is kind of slow. There isn't a lot going on. We're just walking and talking. There's walking and talking. But once they hit that jungle, the movie feels tense, feels like everything that happens means something to these characters, and that's why The Five Bloods is my #1 movie of June. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me here on Max Talk for my review, for my ranking of the movies in the month of June 2020. This upcoming Friday, guys, I'm doing a review, Netflix non-spoiler review of a comedy coming out this Friday called Desperados. That's my next big post here on my YouTube channel. If you really like this video, if you really enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button to help the channel, help the algorithm so more people can see this channel and help us as a community get better here. Also, feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. Also, hit that share button. If there's anybody who you think would like this type of content, please share with them and hopefully they will enjoy Max Talks Movies as well. My next video is Friday, so guys, I will see you then.